was chilling on the couch watching a movie when suddenly the doorbell rang. Standing at the door was a man looking all fancy and polished.
Hello, I'm here to see your mother.
Like always, I glanced towards Mom's special room. The man tiptoed inside. He pulled back the curtain, revealing a dim room covered in astrological charts and tarot cards. As usual, Mom was already sitting there waiting to give him a reading. The man instantly dropped his cool attitude and became serious.
Please, I need your guidance. My company.
Disaster. If you invest in this project, you're going to lose a lot.
The man immediately handed her a thick wad of cash. Mom gave him a charm made of various leaves. I was still skeptical about all of this. After the man left, I tried reasoning with Mom. Mom, doesn't this feel kinda like scamming people?
Astrology is a science. Besides, I use the money to support nonprofits.
She explained this to me many times, but I'm still not totally buying it. Hey everyone, I'm Caradoc. I'm 15 and I live with my mom in a small village in the suburbs of New Jersey. My family is known as the most mysterious one in town. That's because my mom is considered the most talented witch around here. She's a fortune teller, astrologer, and tarot reader. But Mom doesn't just use astrology to make money. She applies it to my life too. One time when I was 12, we went to a nearby fair to buy clothes. I picked out this cute blue dress, but Mom snatched it away and handed me a red one instead.
You're a Sagittarius, a fire sign. You can't wear blue. It'll wash away all your good luck.
Everyone around us gave us weird looks. The dress she picked out for me was a discounted Christmas dress, 50% off, even though it was nearly 40 degrees outside. Another time, she stopped me at the bathroom door, refusing to let me take a shower even though I'd just spilled fish juice all over myself. Mom, seriously? What now?
I just read your cards today and you're in for some bad luck with water. You need to wait until after midnight.
I had to change my shirt instead, but I couldn't completely get rid of the fish smell. These bizarre actions only made me want to escape this family even more. And just when I couldn't wait any longer, one day, Mom told me the big news. I was going to boarding school. Yes, I was beyond excited, until I heard what she said next.
I've enrolled you at the Faculty of Astrological Studies. You're going to be an astrologer just like me.
So I'm supposed to live with over 100 people who are as weird as my mom? Why didn't you ask me first? I don't want to be an astrologer!
Do you know what happens when you defy the gods? This is your fate. You can't fight it or you'll bring serious trouble upon yourself.
I'm not scared of your threats! From then on, I avoided the topic altogether. I thought it was just another one of Mom's baseless warnings, but I was wrong. Really wrong. Terrible things started happening. One day after I came out of the shower, I saw a black crow staring straight at me through my window. Was this a bad omen of worse things to come? Another day I was watering the garden when a potted plant by my window was blown off by the wind. Luckily, the pot didn't hit me, but it was enough to freak me out. The worst incident was when I went to the supermarket to grab some fruit. Suddenly, a man bumped into me and I realized he'd stolen my wallet. Hey, give that back! I chased after him and in my rush, I ran straight into the street. A car swerved toward me and I ended up falling, spraining my ankle. Mom came to the hospital right after, but she seemed completely unfazed by everything that had happened. How can you be so calm about this? All these terrible things keep happening to me!
I warned you, didn't I? Think carefully about your decisions to go to school.
Maybe all this spiritual stuff is no joke. I started looking at life differently, more cautiously. The next day, I asked Mom to talk. Mom, I'll take astrology seriously. I'll go to school for it. Mom was overjoyed and hugged me tightly. She said she had thought about it carefully. If I become an astrologer, I could carry on her legacy and help many more people out of difficult situations. Hearing about this grand mission, I felt like I had even more purpose. After that, Mom gave me loads of astrology research materials. One day, I remembered that Mom had a special notebook on advanced astrology. I snuck into her room while she was busy with a client. By chance, I noticed her computer was open. Huh? What's this? I discovered Mom had a Twitter account I had never seen before. She posted about buying a new house with a cryptic caption. Taking that kid away was one of the best decisions I've ever made. What kid?
Caradoc, what are you doing?
I jumped back from the computer in shock. Mom rushed over and quickly shut it down.
Who gave you permission to snoop around?
I didn't even get a chance to ask anything before she started explaining.
That's just a fake account I use to raise money for charity. That house I mentioned is for families in need.
She quickly pushed me out of the room. I left, but I couldn't shake off my doubts. What decision? Was that house really for charity? Things didn't stop there. A few days later, I was outside watering the plants when I noticed some scattered seeds on the windowsill, the exact spot where the crow had been staring at me. It could have been bird food from somewhere else, but you get what I mean, right? I started connecting the dots and decided to investigate further. That night, Mom was invited to a rich family's house for a tarot reading, which meant I had the place to myself. I snuck back into her room, determined to uncover whatever secret she was hiding from me. I searched the drawers, the wardrobe, everywhere, but nothing seemed suspicious. I was about to give up when I noticed a small chest under a pile of stuff. Inside, I found an old photo, a woman who looked a lot like my mom holding two identical babies. One of the babies had a birthmark on its neck, just like mine. I was so curious about them, so I decided to ask Mom. You never told me anything about our family. Mom was holding a plate of fruit and suddenly her hand slipped, sending the plate crashing to the floor.
Maybe I should have told you sooner. They're bad people. They drove us away. They couldn't accept you because you're a psychic.
So my relatives were all horrible people. That's why Mom took me to live in this remote place. Maybe I was overthinking it.
Oh, by the way, I've already enrolled you for school this September.
Mom was my biggest motivation right now. She had saved me from those awful relatives. She wanted me to help others and become a real astrologer. I worked hard until August arrived, and then I said goodbye to Mom and started at the Faculty of Astrological Studies. Life at my new school was pretty peaceful until one day when I was reading tarot cards for a friend. Hey, you need to be careful in June and July. Something might happen to someone in your family. Suddenly, someone snatched the tarot card out of my hand and said, "Don't you know it's taboo for tarot readers to predict such big risks?" I turned around shocked and couldn't believe what I saw. Who was this girl? Why did she look exactly like me? She was equally shocked and then rudely pulled down my collar, revealing the birthmark on my neck. What are you doing? You're my sister! Then she dragged me outside to talk. I was still in disbelief, but after hearing her story, I was beyond shocked. It turned out that Candace, my twin sister, and I had been separated when we were just 2 months old. Karen, who I thought was my mom, was actually our aunt. She had become obsessed with numerology and believed I was a golden child who could change her fate. So she kidnapped me. I started thinking back on everything I'd figured out. If all this was true, then Karen was probably the one who scattered the seeds to lure the crow. Even the flower pot incident and the car accident, it all made sense now. If you don't believe me, we can confront Karen together with our real mom. No need. I want to figure this out myself. I had a perfect plan to make the woman I thought was my mother finally tell me the truth. That day, I secretly took the day off from school and headed home. I dressed in adult clothes and covered my face before going to see Karen. "I'd like a tarot reading. I'm about to buy a new piece of land." Then I threw down a large amount of money and my mom's eyes lit up with excitement. If you're wondering where I got the money, it's from 2 weeks of hard work at my part-time job at school. I wanted to use the money to uncover the truth. Karen pulled me inside and eagerly offered me some water.
Please, dear, take the tarot deck and shuffle it well.
I couldn't hold it any longer. I threw the tarot deck back at her.
"I want you to read for yourself first!"
Karen stared at me confused, her hands trembling as she clutched the cards. She fumbled, unable to hold the deck properly.
"Hurry up! I'll pay you triple!" These cards show that in the next 3 months, I'll come into a large amount of money.
"What about in the next 10 minutes? You'll receive a special gift, but you didn't see that coming, did you?" I slammed my hand hard on the table in front of her, my voice full of threat. "Do you know that because of you, my life has fallen apart? You dare steal charity money to build your own house? You will pay for this!" Karen froze, shock and fear spreading across her face.
"Please, no. I'll return all the money I've stolen. I'll sell the house. Please spare me!"
She was shaking, tears rolling down her face, begging for forgiveness. I couldn't keep it up anymore. I pulled off my hood and revealed my face. "You didn't see that coming, did you? That one day I would find out everything?"
You...
Behind the door, Candace appeared, adding to Karen's shock. "You're a fraud! You used astrology to steal from people! You didn't donate a single penny! You used the money to buy a house for yourself! And kidnapping me? That alone is a crime! You're not getting away with this!" Hearing this, Karen quickly grabbed the money on the table and tried to shove Candace aside to make a run for it. But it wasn't that easy. I stuck my leg out and Karen tripped, falling hard to the ground. At that moment, the police burst in and arrested Karen, my biological aunt. Facing the three of us, Karen sobbed, begging for forgiveness. She confessed to creating all the fake incidents to force me into astrology, hoping I'd make money for her. She also admitted to the kidnapping years ago. Karen, driven by her blind belief in superstition, had done unforgivable things. Candace and I returned to our normal lives. I slowly moved out of that dark house and went to live with my sister and my biological mother. We continued studying astrology because, despite everything, it was a fascinating subject I genuinely enjoyed. But now I promised myself I would use it for good, to help and heal others. I would never use astrology or tarot to deceive the innocent and profit from them. That morning on my day off, I went with my dad to buy a fish tank to decorate my room. The sun was shining and I was feeling excited about sprucing up my space. Dad, I want to get the long fish tank for my room. Huh? What the fudge is that? Who's my sister sitting with?
Oh, it's Monique.
She's wearing my new Chanel top and flirting with a guy. Monique, if I don't deal with you today, I'm not your sister. Let's see what you can do to me. How dare you? That's the price you pay for messing with someone else's stuff. You've crossed the line.
Will you two stop it? You're nothing alike.
Hi there, fans of my diary animated. I'm Monica, a teenage girl living in Texas, USA. I have a twin sister, but the weird thing is, we don't look anything alike. Not in appearance and definitely not in personality. I'm a super smart girl with an IQ of 130. And as for Monique, it's $12. Give them $12 more. Don't lecture me! Isn't it because your brain is waterlogged? And I'm sure you can guess what happens next, right? Our parents constantly face hilarious and frustrating situations because my sister and I can't get along for even a minute. I've brought home tons of awards, making my parents super proud. As for Monique, well, she doesn't seem to fit in with anyone in the family. Everywhere we go, people comment on how different she looks from the rest of us. They see her as the black sheep. Sometimes I do feel sorry for Monique. If she didn't constantly mess with me, maybe I'd feel more sympathetic towards her. The only person who always pays attention to Monique's feelings is my dad. Instead of scolding her when she gets bad grades, he takes her out to the garden for private chats. Sometimes I get jealous of her for that. Oh, I almost forgot. There's someone else who favors her over me. Uncle James, our family driver. He often shows more concern for my sister. For example, he always makes sure her seatbelt is fastened when we get in the car, but he forgets to do the same for me. Once my parents were too busy to attend our school event, it was Uncle James who stepped in to join us.
Monica, you're so good!
Are you okay, Monique? Let me take you to the hospital.
Maybe Uncle James felt sorry for her. I thought so too until one day. It was on our graduation day. Both Monique and I eagerly waiting for Dad to attend. Dad will definitely come to accept the diploma with me. Dad should only accept it with the one who has better achievements. And that's me, not you. Got it? Monique rolled her eyes and pulled out her phone, pretending to have a close conversation with Dad. Dad, can you stop by Avenue to buy me some lavender flowers? I love lavender the most.
Of course, sweetie.
See? Dad loves me the most. She's so good at being arrogant. Dad will definitely come to accept the diploma with us. But hours passed and I still didn't hear from Dad. My heart sank with each passing minute. Suddenly, a familiar car pulled into the graduation yard. My heart leapt with hope, but it quickly turned to dread. Dad's had an accident! Hearing that news, my legs gave out, and I felt like the ground was crumbling beneath me. Dad had an accident on his way to buy flowers for Monique. From that day on, it was the last time I heard his voice. I missed him so much for a long time, but Monique was different. She always seemed irritated by my sadness and mourning for Dad. The dead are dead. Stop crying so much, it's annoying. Go to bed. That's right, Dad had to take that detour to buy flowers for her, which is why he got into the accident. It's all Monique's fault, yet she doesn't feel any remorse. I swear I'll make her pay for this. After Dad passed away, Monique and I grew even more distant. My health deteriorated because I couldn't sleep, missing Dad so much. As a result, my grades plummeted. I often fell asleep in class, my head heavy with exhaustion and sorrow. Unfortunately, I got caught by the teacher.
Monica, why have you been dozing off so much lately? Come up and solve this problem for me.
What problem? I quickly fumbled through my book. Oh no, where is it? I'm doomed! Monica, what's wrong with you? Let me solve it for you, sir. What the fudge? How could she? But what the waffles? She solved the derivative problem in just 2 minutes. Monique had never been able to do that before. How had she changed so much? After that class, I kept a close eye on Monique. At 1 a.m., I saw her still reading. Even now, she's trying to outshine me. Fine, I'll show her what's what. The next morning, we had a homework check first thing. The teacher checked everyone's work at their desks. Naturally, I left a little surprise for her.
Am I a joke to you?
Someone's getting in trouble.
I'm talking about you, Monica. Why did you write nasty things and spill ink in Monique's book?
Son of a biscuit. He recognized my handwriting. Panic surged through me as Monique pulled the teacher aside to whisper. Who knows what she's plotting now? Unexpectedly, I was sent to the nurse's office for an evaluation. They said I had mild anxiety and needed rest. Huh? She told the teacher I was crazy. All right, I won't let her get away with this. When I got home, I planned to confront Monique. Just as I was about to rush upstairs, the doorbell rang.
Hello, are you Mr. Sa's daughter? Please sign this form regarding the accident scene investigation. We found traces of sedatives in his stomach. He might have been drugged before the accident.
Oh my gosh, Dad was murdered? I was stunned, my mind spinning as I tried to process the officer's words. They handed me a folder found at the scene. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a photo of Mom happily talking to someone familiar. I think I've seen that shirt somewhere before.
Monica, what's going on?
No, it can't be. Could it? Nothing. Thank you, officers. I'll let you know if I find anything. Something's definitely fishy here, and I'm determined to find the truth. Take your meds. Grandma's coming to pick you up tomorrow. Why would she pick me up? I'm perfectly fine. Suspicion clawed at me. Monique must be hiding something from me too. I have to find out the truth before it's too late. That night, I snuck into Dad's room to look for clues, and I discovered a shocking truth. There were DNA test results and all the evidences of Mom's affair. Monique is my twin sister from another father? Oh no! The paper slipped from my shaking hands. The truth was like a punch to the gut. Uncle James and Mom had been having an affair since my parents first got married, and Monique was the result of that forbidden relationship. Dad had secretly investigated everything but still treated Monique well. But all three of them. No wonder we looked nothing alike despite being twins. This must be connected to Dad's accident. I absolutely won't let this go. I snuck out of the house, my heart pounding as I clutched the folder of evidence. I had to get to the police station and expose all three of them. My poor Dad. He must have suffered so much enduring all of this alone. Dad, I swear, I will get revenge for you. Oh my gosh.
Find Monica before she tells the police everything. Got it? Got it.
Panic surged through me. I needed to get out of there. Now. I turned to leave, but a sharp pain shot through my ankle as I stumbled.
Quick, catch that girl!
No, why am I so unlucky? Who is it? Who? Let me go! Let me go! It's me! I told you to go to Grandma's house! You're trying to cover for your real dad, aren't you? Let me go! I have to report this to the police! My shouting inadvertently alerted Mr. James and his goons. As soon as Mr. James appeared, Monique knocked me out. She took me into an abandoned house to deal with me.
Finally, I've got you. Neither you nor your father should exist. Your father took away my family!
You're wrong! It's you who destroyed the family's happiness! Even when my dad knew about your evil deeds, he still treated Monique like his own daughter!
Too much talking. Get ready to meet your dad in heaven. Monique, give me the documents.
At that moment, I looked straight into Monique's eyes. My poor dad always treated her like his own daughter. Yet, she'll regret this forever. Dad, I'm coming to you. Yeah! I only have one father! A man like you doesn't deserve to be called dad! She saved me? A few hours later, the police arrived and surrounded the scene. Mr. James was taken away in handcuffs. To my astonishment, Monique had switched the evidence and handed it over to the police before. It turned out all this time, Monique felt out of place and jealous because I was always better at everything. She wasn't entirely a bad person. Monique changed after Dad died, tormented by guilt. Her change was also due to Dad's encouraging words. Monique had investigated everything herself and advised me to stay at Grandma's to rest while she handled it alone. After this shocking scandal, our mother left, unable to face Monique and me. The weight of her guilt and the shame of the family's dark secrets were too much for her to bear. Of course, Mr. James received a well-deserved sentence for his crimes. And my sister and I, after everything, we grew up and learned to love each other more. We spent long nights talking about Dad, sharing memories, and finding comfort in our shared grief. No matter what happens, she's still my only sister, right?
No, Dad! Please don't leave me!
Be brave, Alina. Promise me. Go find your mom.
left when I was just a kid. I don't even know where she is.
Victoria. Her name's Victoria. She's a famous actress now. I want you to take this letter to her.
Why, Dad, after all these years?
Because I want her to know. I want her to know how much I loved her. I never held it against her for leaving. And I want her to know about you. My little Alina. You're part of her. Part of us.
But what am I supposed to do? She's a celebrity and I'm just... me.
You're my daughter, and that means you're special. You've got my love and her talent. You can do this.
Those were the last words he said to me. 3 months after he passed, I set out to find my mom, to keep my promise. Tracking down info on Victoria wasn't hard. She's a star, splashed all over magazine covers and constantly in the public eye. One night, I caught a TV interview with her. And for the first time, I really looked at her face. Her hair, her eyes. I got it all from her. I wish everything in the world could feel love. They deserve that much. Turns out my mom's quite the same. I started crashing movie premieres, award shows, and public events, hoping to catch her. But fame had built a fortress of bodyguards around her, tougher and more inaccessible than ever. They were like giant robots, shoving fans, reporters, and paparazzi aside.
Sorry, step back, please.
Hey, you see that line?
No entry if you ain't got business here, miss.
Giving up on meeting her in public, I decided to shrink the playing field. Her own house. Scaling walls like Spider-Girl? Nah, I went for a more practical approach. Becoming a maid. Sure, there were other ways, but man, the selection here's tough. So yeah, that's what I was down to. Stepping into the mansion on my first day, my jaw dropped at its luxury. Stuff press could never dream of. Shiny marble floors, crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, priceless art on the walls. The woman who owns all this turns out to be my biological mother. You're Lena, the new maid, right? All I could do was nod nervously. Mrs. Thompson, the housekeeper, gave me a once-over with a super strict look. I swallowed hard as she handed me the uniform. Work fast but be thorough. You won't last a week here otherwise. For days, Mom wasn't home, probably off on some charity project in the city. Thinking of this only made me more anxious for the moment she'd recognize me. She'd be so happy. The upcoming gala at the house this weekend, that would be my chance. I got myself dressed in my best gown, ready for Mom to see just how much I look like her. Of course, I ditched my work and blended in with the upscale guests. As the crowd quieted down, I saw Mom step onto the stage. Great, no bodyguards in sight. Thank you all for being here tonight. Your support means the world to me. My legs were shaking. Suddenly, Mom turns and stares right at me. Our eyes lock and my heart's going crazy. Does she recognize me? In an instant, her expression shifts. Victoria nods subtly to the guards to approach me. No, this isn't how I wanted it. She doesn't recognize me. And clearly, she's not as welcoming as her TV persona. I bolted out of there. What else could I do? Ouch!
Are you okay?
I look up to see the striking guy with the weirdest eyes. One green, one blue. Starting the day after the party, I've been chilling in the garden a lot. Guess that's the only spot around here that doesn't feel all weird. Why am I still hanging around? Oh, right. I gotta keep my promise to my dad and deliver this letter to her.
Good afternoon, Alina.
Hey, Edward. What's up today?
Same old. Busy as ever.
That's Edward, my mom's personal driver. Nah, scratch that. I'm gonna start calling her Mrs. Chambers. Since that night, Edward and I kinda got closer. I'd make him coffee and we'd tackle the household chores together. Gradually, Edward became another reason for me to stick around.
Hey!
I didn't even get to rest yet. Ah! You're gonna get it now. I was thinking of telling him about my real identity. Maybe he could help me get to Mrs. Chambers. How long have you been working here? Suddenly, Edward seemed upset.
Long enough to know her well.
I didn't get what he was implying.
My name's Edward Chambers. I am her son.
What?
Not by blood, but why the shock? I'm the stepson of her husband, the real owner of this mansion.
So, where's he now?
He passed away a few years back, but then she took everything.
My head was spinning hearing Edward's story. I felt so let down by my famous mother.
But my dad loved her, and he wanted me to look after her. So, I'm still here.
I ditched the idea of asking Edward for help. I feared that if he knew about my connection to Mrs. Chambers, our relationship would be doomed. Mrs. Chambers came home late that night. She headed straight to her room and seemed down. The next day, the ruckus outside the main gate caught my attention. A bunch of strangers were making a scene. What's going on?
We want to see Mrs. Chambers.
Mrs. Chambers left early this morning. There's a charity house opening soon. She's very busy.
But no, she hadn't left the house today because Edward was still here.
Is it true Mrs. Chambers had a husband and a daughter before?
Her fame rose after marrying Mr. Chambers. Is that why she hid her past affair?
I was totally shocked. Too much info all at once and my brain felt like it was about to explode. My mom left me and my dad for Edward's rich dad. And yet, my dad always loved her. Never held a grudge till his last breath. I hate my mom for it. Even after becoming famous and rich, she never bothered to look for us. Totally bummed out, I decided I was gonna ditch this mansion. Maybe I'd leave Dad's letter on her desk or something. How could you let this happen, Edward? You were supposed to shield me from this scandal.
How could I stop it when the truth's just staring us in the face? Time you faced it too.
You still resent me. I know it.
You took everything that was mine and treated me like some nobody chauffeur. I wasn't born yesterday.
Just then, I accidentally backed into a vase and it shatters. Great timing, right? What's this mess? Why hire such a clumsy maid?
My apologies, Mrs. Chambers. It was my oversight. I'll handle it.
At this point, I just couldn't take it anymore. All the pent-up disappointment inside me exploded. It was me. Her angry look turns to shock when she sees me. I'm the clumsy mess you're talking about, Mom. Everyone in the room is like, eyes wide open. Time to drop the bomb. I whip out Dad's letter and hand it over. Mrs. Chambers grabs it with shaky hands and collapses. This is his handwriting. Oh my God. Yeah, the one he left behind, along with me. Before she can say anything, I bolted out of there. All I wanted was to get the heck away. But passing through the garden, I see her there, crying her heart out. Out of the last bit of love and respect for my mom, I walk up to her. On the table in front of her are stacks of handwritten letters. I wrote so many to him, and to you, but they never reached you. I sit down across from her, and she spills the beans. I was desperate when he didn't reply. I thought he decided to forget me and move on. But why? Why did you leave? Your grandma. She forced me to leave him and you. She said a lady from a wealthy family couldn't be with a poor writer. Even though I was pregnant with you, it changed nothing. She breaks down crying. Then she told me both you died in a car crash. I was shattered. So I gave up everything to start anew with Edward's dad, until I found my letters in his closet. He finally confessed he'd done everything to keep me from contacting you and your dad. All because he loved me too much. So that's why you hated Edward. I'm so sorry. I couldn't believe it. All these years apart from my mom because of a cruel grandmother. Mom, Dad and I never held it against you for leaving. He wanted to tell you 1,000 times he loved you. And so do I. Mom hugs me tight, and for the first time in years, I felt her embrace. Later, I learned Mom quietly moved all her assets into the city community building fund, leaving just the mansion for Edward. Kinda like a returning of the favor. Sorry, Edward, for all these years, letting my personal feelings get in the way of treating you right.
Think of it as paying back a debt of gratitude for Dad, Mother.
Did you just call me Mother? With Edward's face red as a tomato, Mom turns to me. Honestly, I wouldn't mind being a mother-in-law. Mom, stop!